Thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Hello little doodles, it's me Amanda, welcome back. I'm feeling very hyper today because I am so excited about today's plan with me. You guys will see why. So I suggest you stick to the end to find out. No skipping ahead. I literally cannot compute the fact that it is June. My birthday's in June 16th if you guys didn't know. So it's right like at the middle of the year. So the fact that we're halfway done 2021 is kind of crazy to me. I have a really fun idea for this month's bullet journal theme, so I want you guys to have fun with it as well, and I can't wait to see all your recreations. Oh, I also have one quick little notice before we get started in today's video. As you guys may or may not know, usually I do my bullet journal weekly spreads live streamed on Twitch every single Saturday morning. However, for the month of June, I don't know whether I will be able to do them live on Twitch. I'll be explaining why in an upcoming video, so don't worry. It just mostly has to do with the tech setup and everything, but I think I'll be able to do them with just my phone, and I am going to be doing them on both Instagram and TikTok live simultaneously, so whichever works for you, whether you want to be live on Instagram or live on TikTok. I borrowed a phone, so I'll be able to stream from both on the same time, Saturdays at 11 a.m. Eastern time. So yeah, unfortunately it won't be on Twitch, but it'll be on those other platforms just for the month of June. Hopefully things will go back to normal and then I'll be able to go back to Twitch later. So without further ado, as you can see, I'm very hyped up because I just want to get into it. So grab your bullet journal, your pens, your snacks. I don't know what else you need, but if you're just watching, you can also just hang out with us, and let's get started. Alright, so it's already June 2021. It feels like the months and weeks are just speeding by these days. Not sure if it's just me. I kind of wanted to use this voiceover to catch up with you guys because there's been so much going on in the past month. And so much coming up as well, so I'll do that and I'll obviously talk about what I'm doing in my bullet journal. So for my June bullet journal theme this month, I wanted to do something really fun and bright to reflect the summer mood. My birthday actually is in June, so June always represents happiness, start of the summer, also midway through the year, and I wanted to do that in my bullet journal. So I decided to do a 70s psychedelic art inspired design, except with a bit of a modern twist on it. I feel like a lot of trends kind of come and go in 20 to 30 year cycles, and this goes for art, design, fashion, music, whatever. A lot of the 70s design and art influence can be seen now. Also, I feel like a lot of it was seen 30 years later in like the Y2K early 2000s trends with the fun colors and floral graphics and tie-dye. And you know, nowadays Y2K trends have come back in style again, kind of hand in hand with the 70s. I've been seeing so much of that influence on TikTok and in people's fashion, which is so funny, but it also feels kind of weird because it's the first time where things that I grew up with have come back into the trend cycles. Anyway, that was just kind of a rant. If you've seen any of my posts on Instagram so far, we've been doing a Y2K inspired shoot for the upcoming Shop Amanda H. Lee launch, and it's been so much fun. I think everyone just kind of loves nostalgia and throwback vibes because it just reminds us of simpler times. And this bullet journal theme, as well as the Shop Amanda H. Lee shoot, was just fully inspired by things that I grew up with, like Lizzie McGuire, you know, Britney Spears, J14 magazines, and most of the props from that shoot were from my actual childhood bedroom. Like, growing up in the early 2000s was when my love for stationery begun, and I can remember some of my old notebooks and journals with the fluffy pens, and of course my sticker collection. So that was really fun. I'll get more to that later, but back to the cover page. I went for this sort of funky floral pattern diagonally across the page, and I feel like simple, bright flowers like these were definitely a big motif from both the 70s and that early Y2K era. I remember it on a lot of my own clothes growing up and on those bright tween magazines or on shows like Lizzie McGuire. So I guess I kind of combined the psychedelic 70s and the tweeny Y2K vibes for this month's theme, and a lot of designs from this era have this, like, I don't know what to describe it, but I guess it's kind of like concentric outline shapes. So I achieved this design by outlining any shape that I did, whether it was a heart or a flower with multiple colors, You see that I do this throughout. It was actually kind of really meditative and relaxing just to outline something over and over again in these kind of bright, trippy colors. I can definitely see why art like this was used during the psychedelics era in the 70s. In terms of the color palette and the supplies, I actually only used colored markers for this. No black fine liners at all to outline anything on the cover page like I normally would. The design was just so bold and bright enough as it is, so I pretty much just used Crayola Super Tips and mild liners. I used a fuchsia color, a light orange, a darker orange, a lime green, a darker green, and a pink. And I'll link all these colors. I'll try to find the exact color codes for the mod liners, but as you guys know, the Crayola Super Tips don't really have like specific color names or numbers, so unfortunately I won't be able to differentiate those for you, but I will link those down below as usual. I feel like this color palette was super popular back then, just like this pink, orange, green thing. I don't know why it was such a big color palette, but I can clearly remember a lot of things with this type of color palette. For the cover page, I just started by placing the main elements like the larger flowers and hearts and peace signs, and then I just outlined everything with the same color, adding smaller elements to fill in any spaces. And then once I had the main shape of the cover page with everything placed on that diagonal falling kind of layout, I outlined all of that multiple times with the different colors, and that's why you see the edges of this design end up with orange and pink and green, which gives it that very psychedelic, funky look. I really love how this turned out. I think it's definitely different from anything else that I've done. You guys know I usually do like smaller doodles outlined with black, so this was a fun experiment for me and also just very relaxing to create. Anyway, on the other page, I did a quote page in a very similar style. The quote just says, "Just vibing," which is the energy that I want to channel for this month in June. I just want to vibe. For the lettering, I used that same kind of chunky bubble serif font that I used for the cover page, which I feel like was very commonly seen in those eras, and I did the quote in this circular shape with the flowers kind of spreading all around the main quote in the center, which I feel like turned out really well. I don't know if it was the colors or maybe it was just the flowers with the green. It also kind of reminded me of the van from Scooby-Doo. I don't know if it's just me, but that's just what it gave off, which I guess kind of makes sense because Scooby-Doo was actually made in the 70s, so it's very on point with the theme. Normally for my bullet journal cover pages, I do a bit more sketching before going in with like markers and fine liners. Like I'll sketch out the main elements or at least placeholders where I can like block out the layout of everything. But for this theme, I really wanted to go along with that psychedelic, natural vibe of the art from that era, which I feel like was a lot about going with your instincts and kind of really just vibing. So if anything, I just sketched out where I wanted the lettering to go, but after that, as you'll see, I never really sketched out where I wanted the flowers to go or any other elements. I just kind of went straight in with my markers, and if I felt like it needed another extra little thing, I threw in a flower in there, then I outlined it and kind of built it out from there, which I feel like gave it a more authentic, instinctive look to the cover page and the quote page. So next up we have my monthly calendar spread, of course, and in keeping with the theme, I drew the lines of my calendar with my orange marker actually instead of a black fine liner. You'll see that I use a black fine liner very minimally throughout this entire setup. So above the actual calendar boxes of the days, I wrote the days of the week in that same lettering style that I had been using, and I also used circles in the corner of the boxes for the numbers of the day. I did it in kind of like a random color pattern. Whenever I do this, it always ends up looking like Skittles to me, which I don't hate. Once I had the base layout for the calendar, I outlined everything, the calendars and the letters together included, and kept outlining it in like that concentric pattern so that it ended up looking more funky and psychedelic. Oh, by the way, the grid spacing for these calendar boxes are 6 by 6. Just in case any of you guys are wondering, I know I get a lot of questions about grid spacing. What next? Oh yes, so after I did that, on the right side of the spread, I drew all of the flower doodles around the border of the calendar. I really focused them on that right side. I wrote out June actually on that right side as well because there was space. And once I did that, I just focused on filling in any empty spaces with my flower doodles, peace signs, hearts, all of the hippie stuff. And again, really not planning out exactly where I'm placing everything. If I felt like drawing a flower, I just added one and I switched out the markers accordingly. I found that it really turned out well with this theme if you switched out the colors really often. So you'll see that I did a different color for the center of the flowers, a different color for the petals, and then a different color for the outline. And that's consistent for all of the flowers. And then once you add a couple of them, you can kind of merge them all together into one shape and outline them all together, fill in any blank spaces and all of that. If you are gonna recreate this theme or setup, I really encourage you guys to try something new, experiment. You don't need to make this setup look exactly like mine. I feel like there's so much freedom with this theme. You can place different flowers, shapes everywhere and just have fun with like outlining things in multiple colors and going crazy with it, because I feel like that's what the whole 70s psychedelics era was all about. So I can't wait to see your guys' versions of this theme. So once I had filled in most of the right side of this spread, I actually decided to cut the edge of the right side right along the outlines of the flowers and of the June title, and I feel like this really gave it a unique, cool kind of design to the edge of the calendar. If you really wanted to, you could also do the same on the other side of the spread, but you just have to kind of be cognizant of whatever's on the other side of the page. So since the cover page was on the other side of the left page, I decided not to cut out the edge for that and just stick to the right side of the calendar spread. But I still added some other like floral doodles on the left side as well, and I love this calendar so much. It just makes me so happy looking at it. Like, look at this, guys. How could you not be happy looking at this? This is like summer in a spread, and it just really reminds me of like a calendar that I would have loved doodling all over when I was a tween. Next up, we have my trackers. I will say right off the bat that I know I made a mistake. I accidentally wrote habit for my mood tracker. I think I was just in the zone and really didn't clue into what I was doing, but you'll see how I fix it later once I realize. But anyway, for the mood tracker that currently says habit above it, I did the same font that I've been doing, that sort of bolder, groovy looking font, and I drew this large flower shape in the center of the page, and I decided to make it so that each petal and shape can be colored in depending on my mood, like a coloring book. I also did the same for some smaller flowers around it in a kind of round gathered shape all together, and I'm really excited to fill this in because I feel like by the end of it, it'll look so colorful and psychedelic, perfectly on theme. So that'll be really fun. I made sure to have 30 different spaces numbered out, and I even integrated the little legend that I would normally just put on the bottom corner, but I integrated it into the overall shape and design of this spread. So those little circles that you see, I actually colored them in depending on what I want each color, like which mood I want each color to represent, so that's kind of a fun thing. And once I had all of the main shapes down, then I outlined everything all together, to merge it all with those outlines all forming this one large shape in the center, so that was really cute. And now to fix my mistake, I just wrote out mood on a separate piece of paper in that same font. and cut it out, and I had to patch over the habit title with a blank piece of paper over the mistake, and then put the mood on top of that blank paper. Once I had attached it all, if there were any blank spaces, I just filled it in with my markers and connected any of the outlines that I already had. Honestly, I think it was a pretty seamless fix, if you ask me. I'm kind of proud of myself for this one, but it just shows you that I make mistakes too, and there's always ways to fix things. I feel like art, I always say this, but art is just really creative problem solving, and like Bob Ross says, there's no mistakes, just happy accidents. I do have a really old video up on my channel about fixing bullet journal mistakes, though if you haven't seen it yet, I recommend you check it out, because a lot of times there's quick fixes that you can do that are super easy. On to the right side of the spread, which is my habit tracker, my real habit tracker. Luckily, I didn't make a mistake for this spread. For this month, I wrote out the habit title at the bottom of the spread, and then I wrote out the numbers 1 through 30 vertically up the side of the page and outlined a rounded box above it. At the top of the box, I drew all of the little icons that represent the different the different habits that I wanted to track. I have working out, I have taking my vitamins, vocal practice, going on walks, working on shop stuff, all of that. Once I had the main layout of the habit tracker chart, I just outlined the rounded rectangle multiple times in different colors and merged it with the habit tracker lettering, and then I worked on adding all of the floral heart sign piece doodles along the right side of the habit tracker where there was all that empty space. Like all of the other spreads, I didn't really have a plan going into this spread. I actually initially thought that the habit tracker was going to be in the center and I would have all the doodles around it on both sides, but I kind of accidentally did it on the left side, so the flower doodles ended up only being on the right side, but I kind of liked how it looked. It gave it a nice cool edge that matched the calendar spread. Before we get into the rest of the spreads and the setup, I wanted to talk quickly about today's sponsor, Skillshare. I'm sure a lot of you guys know what Skillshare is by now, but if you happen to not know, Skillshare is a really awesome learning platform online with thousands of classes in design, illustration, technology. They have so many classes. I'm sure you'll be able to find one that suits your interests so you can try learning something new or improve your current skill set. I actually also teach a bunch of exclusive Skillshare classes on the platform that you can't see anywhere else. So if you want to see more from me, you can check out those classes. I did a class on journaling, more focused on mental wellness. I did one for affirmations, and I also have one for creative planning and journaling. I really love the community on the platform. I think with the structure of the classes and the projects and then the teachers and students interacting, it just really lends itself to growing and learning new things and just feeling inspired to take learning into your own hands. I'm actually currently taking a class and it's about illustrative journaling, so that's been really, really fun. Anyway, if you guys are interested in Skillshare, I think this is a great time to start. It's perfectly halfway through the year, so you can refresh your mid-year goals. The best part is that it's affordable, especially when you compare it to in-person workshops and classes. It's less than $10 a month for an annual subscription, and you get access to all of the ad-free premium content, and they're always launching new classes as well, so you can continue to stay inspired. So if you guys are interested in trying out Skillshare for yourself, the first 1,000 subscribers to click the link in my description box will get 30% off an annual premium membership. If you've already taken advantage of your free trial, you can still use that link to get access to full year learning with that 30% off discount. So check it out, try it out. Again, they're a huge friend to the channel and have always supported, and I just love what they do. So I'll leave that link down below for you guys. Back to the bullet journal setup. The next spread that I'm doing is my playlist spread. For this, I was listening to some pretty summery, happy music while I was creating the spread, so I think I was feeling extra bold, so I decided to draw these large wavy lines around the outlines and edges of the pages, and I think this really adds to the psychedelic look. I did it in multiple different colors, kind of followed along with the wavy design. Didn't really sketch it out too much, and then once I had that wavy design done, I just added some random flowers scattered around on top of that design. So as you'll see later, that it kind of builds up and makes it look very dynamic, free-flowing, a lot of movement, which I think is really fun, especially for a spread that's all about music. You can see I wrote out playlist pretty large in that same lettering style, and I actually did it kind of diagonally and not super straight, just to again follow along with those wavy lines and that more natural look to it. Okay, yeah, here you'll see I'm drawing all those flowers pretty much in any spaces that I felt like were a bit empty, or kind of making the waves go in between all of the flowers. So kind of in, what is it, the convex areas of the wavy lines. I don't know which one it is. You guys can see what I'm doing, honestly. Actually, my orange marker ended up running out by the end of this, so luckily I had a backup Crayola Super Tips marker set, so we're good to go. But definitely used, as you can see, used the markers quite a lot for this spread in particular. In terms of the actual songs, you guys know, as usual, I love sharing my favorite songs that I've been jamming out to recently. I'm gonna link a whole Spotify playlist down below with all of these songs in case you wanna, check any of them out. I mostly included upbeat, summery songs, but also some of my favorite 70s songs and early Y2K songs to go along with the theme. But on the spread, I had just written out some of my favorite songs recently. We of course have BTS Butter, Olivia Rodrigo's new song, which everyone has been loving, and a bunch of others. Again, the full playlist will be linked down below, but all of these songs were just written in rounded rectangles, also scattered pretty naturally in the center of these wavy shapes and the flowers all around it. I really love this spread. I think it couldn't have turned out better. I think it's just so fun, especially for such a fun theme. I definitely wanted to make sure that I had a less structured layout somewhere in this setup, and this was just perfect. Finally, we have the first weekly spread of June. This is the perfect time to mention, like I said at the intro of the video, I unfortunately don't think I'll be able to stream my weekly spreads like I normally do every Saturday on Twitch, just because I won't have access to my full large PC streaming setup, but I will try to do them on Instagram and TikTok live simultaneously. So whether you have Instagram or TikTok, I'll try to do it at the same time instead, just because it's just a little bit of a quicker setup than my full PC. It'll be at the same time, Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. So yeah, just a reminder, while we're on the topic of weekly spreads, I am not ditching Twitch. It's only for this month. You guys will see why. I wish I could tell you more, but you guys will see why. Anyway, back to this weekly spread. I did the layout that has 4 boxes on both sides of the page. The spacing for this is 12 by 18, and for the spread I drew flowers in the corner of each quadrant, which is where I put the number of the day, and then I outlined the box and flower together with this rounded rectangle shape. I made the header of each day a little bit thicker with rounded corners and wrote out the day of the week, and I did different color combinations of the flower styles and the boxes to just kind of make it look a bit more fun. And then on the empty space in the top left, I just filled it in with that wavy psychedelic pattern that I did on the playlist spread, which I think added something and brought this whole spread together. It really reminded me of something that I would have loved to have as a kid, especially with the flowers. It's just very, I feel like, Lizzie McGuire tween-y. If you guys couldn't tell, I was a very big fan of Lizzie McGuire. By the way, before I show you guys the flip through of this setup, I'm actually going to be switching notebooks after June is over because I only have a few pages left, so I will be in a new notebook for July. I wanted to ask you which color you think I should use. We're launching 5 new colors of the dotted notebooks on Shop Amanda H. Lee this Sunday, May 30th at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. But my favorite part of these notebooks is that we added edge printing to the page edges. As you can see, the edge of the notebook matches the color of the front cover, which I think makes it look so luxurious and cute, especially with the cute new charm. We're also launching undated versions of the doodle planner, which I'm so excited for. It's perfect for any of you guys who don't start your planners on January, so any of you people who follow the academic year format. Not everyone starts school on the same month. Some people start January July, September, all of the above. So with the undated versions, you just have added customization. It also is great because you can skip months if you need to and just pick right back up, and you won't have any wasted pages. I think this is the coolest part. Every undated doodle planner is going to come with a sticker set of handwritten months for you to use on whatever cover page or calendar page that you're using for that month. I've been working so hard, and the whole team has been working so hard on this and the fun photo shoots that you've been seeing on Instagram, so it's been really fun. Hope you guys want to twin with me. May 30th, 12 p.m. Eastern time, go grab yours. So let me know which color you think I should use for the second half of the year in the comments. I'm stuck between the sky blue and the slate gray, so vote down below, and I guess you'll find out which one I end up switching to in the next plan with me. Alright, so here is the full flip through of my June 2021 psychedelic 70s mixed with Y2K tween vibes. This one was extra fun to make, and it might be in the ranks with some of my other top tier faves because I just love how it turned out. So that was fun, wasn't it? We set up bullet journals, we chatted. Make sure you guys mark the date for the launch in your calendar because I'm really excited. As usual, I wanted to showcase some of your recreations from last month. You guys had so much fun with last month's theme. I'm so glad because that was also one of my favorite themes to do as well. So here you go. If you do recreate any of my bullet journal spreads, whether it be this month's theme or previous month's theme, be sure to tag me on Instagram. And you can also use our hashtag Little Doodles. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I love you. I hope you have a great day and keep doodling. Bye everyone.